Here are 3 seconds for the people who can't watch this video, and if you sustain through these 3 seconds, you're actually going to get answers to the questions you've always wanted. So just 3 seconds. I'm glad you stayed because there's a reason why your personal branding, tactics, content strategy, none of it actually works. I'm able to pull this off with less than 2,000 followers on my Instagram. With less than 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, I'm booking 20 calls a month. Think about that. Think about this for a second. I'm able to book 20 calls a month only through content. I don't do any outreach. I don't run ads. My videos don't even cross the 10,000 views mark. This video probably doesn't even have 1,000 views. How am I able to pull this off? It's because I know a secret tendency of the brain that you don't know about. And because of this, you're stuck. And if you don't apply this one tendency to your personal branding strategy, you're always going to remain a copy of every other person out there. And everybody's going to call you out for it. And it's never going to work for you. I teach this inside my program for my clients, right? And it works so beautifully. It's so simple, yet it works so beautifully. Because nobody is thinking in terms of psychology. Nobody is treating numbers, views, as humans. You are probably treating views as views. They're not views, they're humans. Humans watching your content. So, how do you leverage this? What is this tendency that I'm talking about? I literally went from getting 400 views every single reel, getting no leads, no calls booked, to still getting like 1,000 views on my reels, but booking so many calls. The tendency of the human mind. It's really simple. There was a study done in which they found out exactly what is the single core metric that governs if people are going to share some piece of information with others. And the metric that they found was that if you're like people are more likely to share a piece of content with someone else if they believe that their reaction to that information would be the same as the people that they're sharing it to. What does that even mean? And why is this important? We all know that social media algorithms, they value engagement. Everybody's talking about engagement. They value engagement. But how do you engineer engagement? How do you get these people to interact with your content? It's pretty simple. The way you to pull this off is by making them feel an emotion and creating a tribal sense. What does that even mean? We humans are tribal creatures. Everybody knows that. Right? Everyone knows we humans are tribal creatures. And so when we are tribal creatures, we have this innate tendency to fit in a group of people. That means we're going to fit in that group of people based on their philosophy, their mindsets, their way of thinking, their belief systems, their actions, and every other thing that you can think of. We're going to try to match that because we want to fit in. People will only share another piece of content with other people when they feel that, for example, if I see an apple and I feel hungry, I'm going to share that apple with people who probably are going to see that apple and feel hungry as well. That is what you call sharing. Sharing is basically that you share pieces of information which is something that you like, that you know other people will like as well. If you don't like a piece of information, or you know that the other person is not going to like this piece of information, you're probably not going to do it. You're not inclined to do it. Why is that? Why is that? It's because we're tribal creatures. We have this innate tendency to be tribal. Now, how does that play out in content? Why is that important to getting leads and calls booked? Because you need to understand this. Fundamentally, every single principle is based on truths of the world. Every single principle of this earth, of everything that we know for, is based on some fundamental truths of the world. For example, every law in physics is based on fundamental truths of physics. If the fundamental truth of physics was disproven, which would mean that they are not fundamental truths anymore, the laws of physics wouldn't stand because we compare like the truthfulness of a matter. We compare something to be truthful based on two things. Number one is a constant metric, a constant variable. And second is how easily examples come to mind, which is interesting, isn't it? How easily examples come to mind is one of the key metrics that we use to determine if something is truthful or not. For example, it is very easy for you to come up with examples of aliens. Now, aliens do exist, I believe in that, but the reason why people still believe that aliens, there's a huge populace that believes in aliens, is not because of the fact that we have a conscious logical tendency inside of us telling that maybe we're not the only people on earth, but actually that when you think about aliens, you can come up with examples pretty quickly. You can think of examples faster. Why is that important, Rohit? What are you yapping about? For the past 6 minutes, you've been yapping for absolutely no fucking reason. What is this yapping session about? I'm going to show you how to leverage this right now. Now imagine a scenario in which instead of following this format of hook, body, CTA, you leverage the tendencies of the two things that I talked about right now. Number one being the tribal sense, and number two being the tendency of humans to believe something is truthful. The best hooks that perform are contrarian hooks. If you've got a lot of followers, don't use a contrarian hook, use an authority hook. If you don't have a lot of followers, use the contrarian hook, which is basically just going to be something that you say which is going to go against the truth that most people believe to be the truth. If I say the earth is flat, I capture your attention. If I say the earth is a sphere, it doesn't really capture your attention because you believe it to be the truth. This is why I covered exactly why we believe certain things to be truthful. Because think about it. If I told you right now that the fear of somebody being in a plane crash is just delusion, it's going to spark a bit of curiosity in your mind, right? Why is it? I mean, statistically, we are more likely to be in a car crash than in a plane crash, yet we are more afraid to be in a plane crash than in a car crash. Why is that? Because when you think about a plane crash, you have examples that come easily to your mind. That's why they work. That's why you believe it to be the truth, even though statistically it is not. What are some truths about content that you probably believe? It takes time. You need to have a lot of volume. You need to, do something different. Imagine, instead of starting the hook of a video, something like, if you want this X result, watch this video. Instead of doing all that bullshit, how about you just go against the grain? Create a sense of tribalness. You can go watch this hook of this exact video right now. Pause this video, go watch the hook, and you're going to see the difference between what I'm saying right now. You're going to notice the difference. Why is that? Why are you more likely to notice a difference? How was I able to capture your attention for so long? It's because I created a tribal sense in which I told you. Let me break it down exactly. This is some insane sauce, by the way. I told you that if you don't listen to this, you're going to have a consequence that you're going to have to deal with, which creates pain. Pain is how you behave. The moment I create pain, the more likely you are to behave. Now, in the same sense, how do you leverage this? Let's say you're a real estate agent. You're posting content to get people to buy your properties, or like, not real estate actually. Let's pick a better example. Let's say you're an agency owner and you want people to buy your stuff. How do you use this? How do you use this information? First, we start off with a hook, a contrarian take. Find out what is the truth that people believe. Truth not based on objective reality, by the way. When I say truth, don't focus on the objective reality of things, of what people talk about. Focus on the fact that there are certain things your niche believes to be the truth because of how easily examples come to mind for it. Which is so flawed, but that's just how humans are wired, that's just how we work. Find out exactly what are the truths that they believe to be truths because of how easily examples come to mind. Then you just shit on this truth at the first few seconds so that you capture their attention. Then you set up a consequence of that. A consequence of not listening to what you're saying. which creates pain, which creates movement, which creates behavior. And then you just yap about everything and just have a basic ass CTA. That's how you generate attention. This is why your content feels inauthentic. Because you're not using these tendencies. You are doing, like, you're just copying what other people are doing and you expect different results. Of course, it's not going to happen. You're a stupid person to believe that doing the same inputs every single day is going to get you different output. It's not. You need to rewire the way you approach content. I do this for my clients. We work together and we absolutely crush every single niche we work in. If you are interested in that, you can DM me on Instagram and stuff. But as such, this is the entire crux of the situation. You can create a shit ton of influence just based on the fact that how easily you can leverage these psychological tendencies. You can subscribe down below or do whatever. No, fuck off. I don't know. Anyways, I'll see you guys later, man. Peace.